Hello and welcome to another common comments and questions video. Now, I've been getting a lot of questions recently regarding my Tamiya Lunchbox, specifically the shock length that I used. Now, this is not the standard setup from out of the box. These are some Fast Tracks aluminium shocks, and the front and back are different lengths. And I'm going to just go into a little bit of detail really quickly about the specific lengths for the back, for the front and for the 5th shock mod. At the front I have some 75mm shocks. Now these are from eyelet to eyelet, so from the centre of the hole at the top to the centre of the hole at the bottom measures 75mm. Now when you do get them stock, they do have a bigger eyelet at the bottom, and the top doesn't matter because that mounts through one of those brackets. You do need to get some extras of those in order to mount these shocks up, so I'll leave a link in the description to those as well. But yeah, the bottom I did swap out the eyelets just so they were the same size as the screws going through, just so they didn't rattle around, because they are bigger when you get them. But yeah, a swap of the eyelet, but it is 75mm from hole to hole at the front. At the back we've got some 85mm shocks. Now the ones that I've got here, the Fast Tracks ones, that I'll link in the description box down below so you can go have a look yourself. They do come with a bigger ball at the bottom, like I mentioned, with the front. So I'll swap those eyelets out for a smaller diameter hole, just so it could snap onto that ball joint, onto the rear diff. But yeah, that's an 85mm shock out the back. And finally, nestled in there, you can see the 5th shock mod. Now this involves getting one of those little U brackets and screwing that straight directly into the chassis, and then cutting out a little hole in this rear axle, this rear diff, and mounting it to there. I have done a video on it, a detailed video in the Lunchbox build series, so just go check that out if you want a more detailed look. But yeah, this shock here, I've actually got a rubber tube sitting inside, so it is basically a solid link between this axle and this part of the chassis, and it is just solid. But it does measure 55mm from the centre of the top hole to the centre of the bottom hole. It's just to stop this axle from twisting under the load of the motor. So when you throttle up, this axle twists, and this part of the axle here sort of shoots upwards and hits the chassis and causes it to wheelie. So I've just got a solid link there, so that as soon as you step on the power, it'll immediately wheelie. It won't cause that axle to twist and smash upwards into the chassis there. But yeah, that shock there measures 55mm. Again, you're going to need to adjust the hole size at the bottom, get a smaller diameter hole for the eyelet, just so it fits through the shaft that runs through this axle part here. Again, a more detailed look in the build series of the Lunchbox. I'll also link that in the description as well if you want to go have a look at that. So we've got a 55mm for the 5th shock, we've got an 85mm for the rear, and a 75mm for the front. Hopefully that's been useful to you guys. I know a lot of you have been asking about the specific shock length on my Tamiya Lunchbox. There's a link in the description box for the shocks that I used, the U brackets, the extra U brackets that you need to install these shocks, or to install any upgraded shocks for the Lunchbox, and I'll also leave a link to the build series where I actually detailed how I installed that 5th shock mod and a couple of other mods that I did to this Lunchbox. So if you go down into the description box, you'll find those, and they'll hopefully help you out a bit more. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Common Comments and Questions. Again, if you've got any more questions, leave them in the comments down below and I'll be sure to answer them. If I do get a lot of the same question, I do try and answer it in a video just so it's a bit more detailed and explained. But if it's just like a one-off question, I'll just answer it in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to check out the Facebook and Twitter pages, links are down below in the description box, as well as all the links that I've detailed in this video. And I'll see you next time on RC Projects. Bye.